Happy Omega-3 Day.
Happy Omega-3 Day. That's great.
17 years.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was so long ago.
I know, me neither. I know. It seems like boom yesterday.
I know. So what are you doing now? Are you at some meeting or something or
We're just doing a podcast for Omega-3 Day, and
okay.
we're just trying to get the original founders. You are one. We just talked to John Rady,
Oh yeah.
and he's
Wow.
in Hawaii. And so we just wanted to, it just seems like such a omega-3s are so great, and it seems like a celebration.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we're just doing. And Jason was help setting this up, but he thought it'd be greater if we were just on and we could just talk doc talks. But I'm so
Sure.
excited, and the science. I'm so excited to see Omega-3 Day going forward, and really, that's always been my dream. And
Right.
you know. So it's great. And I can't believe, although I can believe the science, I'm sure you tend too. John Rady was saying that, the science is so amazing. But I think for people in the omega-3 world, it's just fantastic to see it borne out. And you've
Yeah,
been
it's
at the
it's growing. It's,
center.
it's definitely getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
You've
still
been
still
really at the
there's
center of that.
well, we're working on it. Yeah.
I mean, as co-founder of the Omega-3 Index, I have to tell you, there's a couple times in my life where I remember where I was. One of them, and they're funny because they're science related. One of them was reading about arachidonic acid and EPA and the cytokine cascade of arachidonic acid. And I was in a resident or a medical school. And then another time was when another time was PPARs, which probably only you'll understand. Another time was when I read about you and von Schacke inventing the omega-3 index, I almost fell off my chair. And I thought this changes everything.
Really.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I
made a
was
dent.
on I was on Newberry Street in Boston, and I was just like, this is everything. So tell us a little bit about that, and the newest studies that you've learned from either Framingham or the Biobank or
Yeah. We've been real active in the biobank, digging into omega-6 and omega-3, both, I mean, omega-3 and omega-6, actually.
yeah.
Both of them are very quite interesting. Yeah, we've recently looked at the standard model is we look at blood levels of
Mhm.
omega-3 fatty acids. It's not the omega-3 index because they didn't measure that
Right.
in this study, but plasma levels are okay for research purposes.
Yeah.
And so we, yeah, looked at I think we looked at the incidence of self-harm, suicidal ideation. Um, Maybe one of these days we'll look at suicide as an outcome, but there weren't as enough suicides
Yeah.
in the data set to do anything with at this point. But this is, and of course, we're looking at depression and anxiety. They're also inversely related with omega-3 levels. Higher levels are linked with
So
better
explain
outcomes
to
in all
people
those
what
ways.
that is, just to take them back a bit. The Biobank is a big study
It's a
and
big
what the
study.
omega-3
It's
levels are.
done in England, Scotland, and Wales about 12, 15 years ago. They undertook this study to screen about 450,000 people between age of 40 and 70 in in the UK. And they stored blood samples and they took all kinds of data at
Mhm.
their the beginning visit. And then now they've been followed up for now almost 16 years or so, maybe longer. And they've been following them not by calling everybody back into some kind of study center, which would be very, very expensive.
Right.
But in the UK, they have a national electronic medical record.
Right.
So there's one health system, the national health system in the UK. And so everybody's data goes into that. And so these studies that we do, we are able to access the ongoing medical records. So we can see, as we can ask the question, if we look at people when they entered the study, how high was their omega-3 level? How low was it? And we then kind of take people and split them into 5 groups, usually from the lowest omega-3s to the highest omega-3s. And then we look at who got what disease
Mm-hmm.
over the ensuing years, whether it's dying, dead, that's a big disease, whether they just had heart disease but without dying, whether they developed cancer, when they died of cancer. We
You
looked
really
at
get an
some,
amazing like zero in look.
yeah, you really do. It's not as good as a standard randomized
Hmm.
trial with a placebo, but you can't do those kind of studies. They're very expensive to do with
Yeah.
omega-3, and nobody, the government's not funding them. So who's going to do it? So this is kind of the best you can do is look at what we call epidemiological studies, population studies. We've also published a paper looking at a whole bunch of studies have been done looking at the health outcomes in people in the UK Biobank who said when they started the study they were taking fish oil
Interesting.
or not. And then
Yeah.
about a third of them said they were regularly taking fish oil. Now, that seems really high to me, but that's what they said. So we and many other people have asked the question, well, what is there a relationship between uh, some disease outcome and who's taking fish oil and who's not?
Yeah.
And so we collated about, I think, 40 or 50 of those studies and looked at it and asked the question, well, how often was the risk for some disease significantly lower
Yeah, that's
in
very
those people
interesting.
taking fish oil? And I think about what is it, 29 out of 30 times the risk for disease was significantly lower in people taking fish oil supplements. So it's not a blood level study. It's just
No.
ask a question, but it's something, and
It's
it
something and it
builds
tells
the
us
case.
something.
Yeah.
And
Um,
what did it show on the cognitive function in
reduce
biobank?
in the biobank. We've seen reduced risk for dementia writ large. We just published a paper looking at risk for early onset dementia before age 65.
Right.
And that one we also found the same thing. Higher omega-3 levels were associated with lower risk for developing early onset dementia. So
So omega-3s are a massive way to protect your brain health.
it's certainly one of the most important things you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that maybe you can't control that
Right.
you certainly can control this and do your best, and then exercise and eat well, yada
Exercise,
yada yada,
right,
right?
is
Yeah,
massive and eating well and
right,
staying connected to people uh
right.
is
Yeah, that's
is
a big one.
I call
That's a big one.
vitamin C.
Haha, cute.
Yeah. For a connection.
Or connect. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Um,
Yeah. So that's kind of what we've been doing, and
and
other
you're
papers
looking at
coming.
the Framingham study, which is a study that started what in 1948 at Harvard, where they looked at the first group of people and really followed them closely.
Yeah.
Um,
That
and
right. That really was really the beginning of this kind of research was in
yeah,
the Framingham study, and that whole group of people is gone now. They've all died. But they started a second study in 1977 or so called the Framingham Offspring Study,
yeah,
which that's the one we've been working with. We have their blood omega-3 index measured. And so we've been looking, it's only about, 4,000 people. So it's
what do
nothing
you
like
see in that? Do you see
same
some,
stuff.
yep, same things?
Same story. Really the same story as I remember we were both very impressed with Ernie Schaefer's early study in the original cohort looking at dementia and blood omega-3 levels, where he found a huge benefit for those who have had the highest levels of omega-3 in their blood. So that's the only way to get high omega-3 is to eat it, to
You
take it.
gotta eat it. It's gotta go
You got to
in.
eat it.
Can't
That's
make
right.
it. That's fantastic. I know that Jason just saw you at the Integrative Health Conference,
Right.
and he said you guys were talking about telomeres, and that was a study that OmegaBrite supplied the placebo and control to.
Oh,
to Ohio State. They did a series of studies, and in that study, Elizabeth Blackburn was one of the authors, and they looked at
right.
a cohort of people. They studied placebo control of middle-aged, overweight, sedentary people because they figured that's a high inflammatory drive with
Hmm.
being overweight and sedentary in middle age. Kind of your fat produces a lot of inflammation. And so they then gave the people with the drug, the OmegaBrite 7010, and then they gave them measured their after 4 months, their levels, and also gave them a stressor of public speaking.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what was interesting, and there's a lot of interesting things. They found the omega-3 group dropped their um, serum cytokine IL-6 by about 20%, and
Mm.
they're reduced their cortisol level. But they took a look at telomeres. So at first they didn't see any difference between the two groups. And this is something about what you're talking about in the biobank. And then they said, well, let's look at what happens in the omega-3 for people that have high levels of omega-6 and low levels of omega-3. So they're coming in kind of with that high omega-6 index, not index, but ratio. And so and they base that on, well, some people may be eating a lot of fish or taking supplements before the study and may already have a lot of omega-3, but let's look at the ones that don't. And they found that for those people, when they got the stressor, their telomeres shortened. And the omega-3
Oh,
group, there for every reduction of omega-6 ratio, there they added a base pair of um, to their telomeres. So
hmm.
that was pretty shocking. And it was shocking to me that public speaking could, to reduce your telomeres and impact your DNA. I was like, whoa. Um, and then they followed it up with another study which they looked at, well, what's happening with the telomerase in these two groups? And they found that the people on the omega-3, their telomerase was protected from the stressor. In the people that didn't have the omega-3, their telomerase there was a 26-point difference. And it really took a hit from the stressor and the inflammation. When we have stress, we actually have an increase in inflammation. And those people that were doing the public speaking test without an omega-3 protection, they really dropped. Their telomerase took a big hit. And the telomerase is the enzyme, as you know, that protects the end caps of our DNA, the telomeres, so that the cells can divide accurately. So
Right.
everybody was pretty surprised that taking a supplement of omega-3 could have that benefit.
Yeah.
And
That's a cool study.
it was very cool. I'm very proud to have, been in any way providing support for it with supporting the placebo and the control. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's very exciting science. What if I was to ask you, was the most surprising thing in the science of omega-3s that has happened?
The surprising things. I mean, I've gotten so used to omega-3s
Yeah.
being, protective in any given study that it's a little hard to, um, I guess not surprising, but an exciting, the newest randomized trial with omega-3. Again, it's hard to do with supplements and healthy people, but
Yeah.
if you do randomized trials with patients who are at high risk for heart disease, um, we have a recent one called Pisces that really did. It studied uh, people who are on hemodialysis, so their kidneys aren't working,
Hmm.
and those people are really high risk for developing heart disease. And so they gave them about 2.2 grams of omega-3 a day, oral placebo, followed them for about 3 years, and there was a huge benefit almost from day one in terms of risk for
Really?
heart events. Yeah, it was a New England Journal article.
Wow.
So it's good to see. we've gone through a spate of maybe 10, 15 years where some studies just weren't showing any benefit.
Yeah.
Um, and then we had reduce it, which showed a nice benefit. And then strength, which didn't show any benefit. And then I hear Pisces that's showing benefit again. I mean, it just
And do
depends
you
on
see
a
in
lot
that
of factors.
any I think it's helped in some ways when they have been able to separate the DHA from the EPA to see different effects. But what do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, giving supplements of EPA versus DHA.
Well, just in the studies, I think we started out with very high DHA in the supplements they used in studies. Then they moved more towards pure EPA, which gave some more clarity. So I think the EPA and DHA have different actions in the body.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
And what we're missing is a good big study with DHA.
yeah,
Never been done. And I predict it would work. It'd be because it has anti-inflammatory properties too. So it's
right.
not like EPA has all of it,
No,
but
it does have them, and it's got the resolvins. It's very powerful.
yeah,
So
right. So
we
lots
just
more to do in our
yeah,
field.
we just launched an LPC omega-3 at OmegaBrite.
Okay.
And what are your thoughts on LPC? I love the molecule. So, and
Well, I think the idea is great. I hope more studies can show us that it really makes a difference. It's theoretically, based on animal studies at this point, which is where you have to start
yeah,
when you're
and the
talking about the
mechanism
brain,
is important of
particularly. Yeah,
active transport into the brain. So I like that a lot. Um, and it it solves some of the mystery of how it's getting into the brain when we know it needs it.
yeah,
And
yeah. It does, right? And
so that was tremendously exciting.
yeah,
So
so
I was at my medical school class reunion this week. We had a Zoom call, and everybody at the end was because we're planning our reunion event, and everybody's like, well, we need to know from um, one of the doctors, the gerontologist specialized in anti-aging or aging.
mhm.
What can we the best thing we can do to protect our brain health? And
Well, yeah. What'd you say?
what?
Duh.
Yeah, but it's not there. It's not there in medicine.
No,
And
right.
that, to me, as I watched, I thought, wow, we have a lot more work because the medical doctors are, I think, because it's coming from nutrition, it's not a pharmaceutical that can be, educated all the time, um, that doctors aren't hearing and learning enough about the studies on omega-3
No,
and the profound health benefits.
no. Part of it's part of it's the fact that it is a nutritional approach, which is
Yeah,
right away strike one, almost strike two. And there's so much literature in medicine, this, that these guys just haven't got time to
right.
study everything, so it's got to percolate to the top somehow. And it really takes the, consensus conferences of the big medical societies to emphasize, to recommend um, any new treatment like omega-3 as a standard of care. Until they do that,
Yeah, that's
doctor
a
don't
good
care.
point. That's where it needs to be is the standard of care.
Right.
That's
And
I hope with AI and AI's influence into medicine that some of the silos are broken because the research is presented, you
maybe,
know, that if you look at what best ways to protect your health, increase your lifespan, um, you know, avoid dementia, protect your heart health, protect your mood. I mean, omega-3s are there.
yeah, yeah, they should be. They should be. Hey, I'm afraid I need to run. I've
Okay,
got an
good. Well,
appointment
it's
to
so
go to.
great. And thank you so much. Talk to you soon, Bill.
Good to see you, Carol. Bye-bye.
Bye.